Have you ever noticed since the creation of Zoom, people put their guitars in the corner?
Yeah, like you?
Yeah, and so do you. And that means we're part of this conspiracy. I don't even know what the conspiracy is. And it's not just people like you and me. It's Andrew McCabe, Harry Littman, Dr. James Phillips. The list goes on.
So wait, you think there's a conspiracy behind the mindset to put a guitar in the corner of a Zoom?
You never see a bagpipe.
They put a guitar.
It's not just Zoom. Think about how we met. You put me in a commercial with a guitar. It doesn't matter what you're selling. Adult diapers, ED meds, want to go to college? Play the guitar. Need a loan? Can't pay back that loan? Bipolar meds? Play the guitar. Itchy skin? Build a guitar. No health problems? Live to 100? Play the guitar. Come on.
You know what, Randy? I am quite impressed with the evidence that you've presented. You can't be the only person thinking about this.
Oh, there's no way I'm the only person, but I'll tell you right now, we're the two people that are going to get to the bottom of this.
Hey, Jared. What's up, Randy?
I'm going to reach out to all those people on TV.
Don't you think they have more important things to do?
Doesn't hurt to try.
And how exactly are you going to do this?
I have absolutely no idea.
Go for it.
Are we doing it? Or are we?
Yeah, we're doing it.
Are
We're
we
doing it.
snoozing? Okay, I'm ready.
I'm sure you're bombarded with tons of emails, and you get this email from Randy talking about guitars in the corner. Why on earth did you answer that email?
I never answer like regular emails from people I don't know. It's a cool idea.
God, I don't know. And I'm really asking myself that now.
I'm asking myself that question right now.
It was such a ludicrous idea. I thought, man, I've got to explore this a little bit.
What would make me think that this is like a valid subject?
Why did I answer the email?
Eric said, you got to meet these guys.
Eric Clapton?
Yeah, let's go with that.
They're doing this crazy documentary about guitars and Zoom calls.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was very funny.
Seemed up our alley, a little quirky.
You guys had some good questions. We think guitar culture matters.
Yeah, just a really interesting perspective that I don't think is reported on enough.
I mean, there's nothing that makes me happier than talking about how cool guitars are. I assume that's kind of the whole point of this documentary, and how could I not want to be a part of that?
It was a playful inquiry.
I really didn't think it was real. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. But Randy, you stayed on it. I give you credit. You were relentless.
I call it annoying. Either way, let's talk guitars. The guy we're interviewing today.
My name is James Phillips. I'm a physician. I'm the chief of disaster medicine at George Washington University, CNN medical analyst.
You showed me that picture of him with the blue Gretsch guitar behind him during the COVID days. I think he is the guy.
I'm being told I may have been the guy that started the whole craze by putting this on the wall.
You're it, my friend. Add that title to your resume. Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon.
Edmund Hillary, first man to ascend Mount Everest.
And Dr. James Phillips, the first guy to put a guitar in the corner of his Zoom. He coined the frame. We're giving you the most exclusive title we can think of. Listen, we based our documentary around this concept.
I appreciate that. Hey, if in some small way I can represent guitar players around the country, around the world, then I'll take it.
I remember watching CNN and, okay, we're going to have this director of disaster medicine. We got to talk about COVID. People are dying. And while you were talking about, all I can do is, I think it's a Gretsch. I think that's a Gretsch. And you were done with your segment. My wife was like, well, what did he say? And I'm like, he's got a Gretsch. I'm wondering now if COVID was a conspiracy by guitar manufacturers. COVID happens. People start playing the guitar. Right?
Sales go up.
People put guitars in the corner. Once you started doing this on CNN with the guitar in the background, have a lot of people said that to you?
Yeah, it was a thing. So initially I was I say this humbly, I was the first physician chosen as a medical analyst for COVID, for CNN. Even before there were any cases in the United States. A producer had seen me give a lecture before it was even called COVID-19. Within 48 hours, they asked me to write an op-ed. 48 hours later, I'm sitting in the studio with Wolf Blitzer. And I'm like, this my real life? Wow, I get an opportunity to have this sort of public health voice on such a stage. Then COVID really started to hit around the United States. And so everybody went home and started this whole home studio paradigm of TV news. I didn't have anything in my background. And meanwhile, all these fancy people had like built-in bookshelves and all this sort of stuff with their own book, highlighted. And I'm like, man, I got nothing. Had my eye on this beautiful Gretsch for a long time. So it's a work of art that just happens to be a guitar. When I put that up in the background, that first time I got probably 20 emails to my GW professional email being like, Doc, like, that's amazing. Is that a Gretsch? What's going on? And people were like, he's the real deal. There's a capo on it. And just little details like that. Then I was like, all right, these are my people. I like this.
And your dad played first?
My dad had this 82 Ovation Grand Balladeer roundback that he would play in the living room. And sing songs to us. And then on my 21st birthday, I came home to Oklahoma, and my dad had that Ovation with a big red bow on it. It's the greatest gift I was ever given. That was sort of the beginnings for me.
All right. Does my guitar look okay? Is that a good spot for my guitar?
I was going to say you could probably move it a little bit closer, but I actually think it looks great.
I'd like people to know a little about me.
Having that in the background sends that subliminal, like, oh, instant cool. It's instant street cred. It's such a piece of American iconography.
It speaks to a multi-dimensional human being, right? And we don't want to be one note. We don't want to be considered a stagnant individual.
When we started to have, this world where Zoom meetings were a thing, all of a sudden there was a chance for people to put a little piece of who they are in the background.
It says to somebody you're talking to, you're more well-rounded than just a talking head.
Yeah, yours looks good. I guess you want to angle it a little different, or are you good with that?
Which way?
Try this way. Oh, yeah, that's no. What you just did. That, perfect.
You see that guitar, you're like, oh, this person's probably pretty cool.
It's a conversation starter. You're just like, oh, you play? Yeah, I've been playing for so many years, or oh, I'm just starting.
I think it's an identity thing. I think it's saying like, hey, I'm part of the club.
It doesn't matter who you are, your social class, your gender, your race, your ethnicity, any of those things.
I value this thing.
People want to say something about themselves other than, this is my profession.
There I have a side to me that's very different.
There's something else about me you don't know.
Oh, you're right. Like a humanizing element. It says a lot without having to say anything. Hey, what's up, you guys? Marty Schwartz here with Marty Music. And I love teaching guitar to anyone that wants to learn on all my various platforms like YouTube and social media.
Folks like to signal, hey, aside from all this other stuff, aside from any reason we might know each other, I also love music, and I'd be happy to talk about that if this thing in the corner of my screen interests you,
If when the other meeting ends and you want to talk about this, we could...
when you want to talk about what I actually want to talk about,
right?
We can do that.
If I have a guitar out, I'll play it in between a Zoom and a meeting or CNN hits or something like that. So if it's here, then I'll pick it up and play it. And so I wanted to have it nearby, but then I was like, well, where am I going to put it? And then I have this like ugly, empty corner.
What do I put there? I'm going to put the guitar.
Someone who doesn't play guitar, putting a guitar behind them, I would love to know how that person's mind ticks.
I find them rather collectible.
But people also love to collect things that they may not even play.
I think they make great art for the walls. Look here. I'm going to show it to you. They're all over here. Can you see all my collection?
I know somebody who collects hundreds of guitars that he doesn't even play.
Instead of buying stock, you buy a bunch of guitars.
You can spend a lot of money on a painting and stick it on your wall and stare at it. Or you can spend a lot of money on a guitar and stick it on your wall and stare at it and love it and take it off and create music with it. Functional art is what we always would call it when I was at Norman's Rare Guitars.
There's craftsmanship involved. You've got these different periods of art, Renaissance and modern art and all those, So with the guitar, there's all these different kinds of guitars, different colors. And it's attractive. It's aesthetically pleasing.
Like, what if instead of a guitar, he was doing it in front of a 1920s Steinway piano?
that would have an extremely different affect in the way that the instrument is working within the image of the space to say something about the person who's speaking.
This is some of my favorite things. If I'm going to do this zoom shot, I play guitar.
And now a word from our sponsors.
So many TV commercials either feature a guitar player or have it.
Just sitting back there in the background as a art director for a commercial. What object are you going to put that says quietly, this guy's cool?
And that's how I got this guy.
Jack Gilbert. I'm a microbiome scientist at University of California, San Diego.
I'm watching a documentary talking about gut health. Oh my God, he's got a guitar.
Guitar wasn't behind me. They put it there.
I immediately pause it, email him. The guy gets back to me before I finish watching it.
They moved around all the furniture in our house downstairs and reorganized it to make it look exactly how they wanted it to look at the back.
The guy in diapers can be sexy. Why? Because, gets down to the thing of being cool.
From a very young age, I was indoctrinated with this. If you're cool, you play guitar. Mickey Mouse plays guitar. Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks plays guitar. Chuck E. Cheese plays guitar. And then I started seeing bands. My parents finally bought me a guitar because I literally would not shut up about it. I had to be a part of that. My name's Mark Agnesi. I'm the director of brand experience for Gibson Guitars.
Coolness is a particularly Black American aesthetic. Miles Davis, in a way, was one of the figures to really sort of consolidate this as a concept.
A guitar is cool for like subconscious reasons, like whether they're picturing, a smoky jazz club, the traveling man, Bob Dylan, guitar slung over his shoulder, and they might be thinking of AC/DC smashing guitars on stage and being like, yeah, there's this big FU quality. It's kind of primal. And I think anything that moves people for that long is going to just be considered cool. Hi, I'm Ryan Kershaw, Executive Vice President of Product Development at Bond Audio, parent company to D'Angelico Guitars, Supro Amplifiers, and Pigtronics Pedals.
It still goes back to like our heroes. The rock stars were the coolest looking,
and nothing displays that more than having the balls to get up on stage and rock out.
I guess that's why famous actors like Johnny Depp, Kevin Bacon, Jeff Daniels, Kevin Costner, Tim Robbins, Jared Leto, as well as many others who we couldn't afford to pay royalties on their stock photos for our documentary. Nothing says rock star like being a rock star.
This is the instrument of Bruce Springsteen, right? It's George Harrison. It's Prince.
I picked up the guitar because I wanted to be the coolest guy, and the only way to get chicks.
Closest thing we have to facts in the dating world is if you play the guitar, you're more attractive. My name's Tyler Larson. I'm the founder of the guitar YouTube channel Music is Win. I'm also the founder of Guitar Super System, which is an app for learning guitar. As you can see, I have my Zoom perfectly aesthetically pleasing for you. You can find any person who you want to fall in love with you. That is not a myth.
Yeah. No, that was, no, it's true. It does help.
Elvis, bands like the Beatles, you would see girls that show up at their shows and completely lose their minds. And I bet you a lot of guys, would watch that and say, wow, how do I invoke such a reaction out of the women in my life? Maybe I should pick up a guitar. Hi, this is Dan Delvecchio. I'm a professional session guitarist, sponsored artist, and touring musician with my band Don't Believe in Ghosts.
Chris Martin likes to say you never see them jamming on their oboes.
Or bagpipes.
You're right.
You're unlikely to go to your friend's house and like, hey, you've got a saxophone. Shall I play saxophone for you?
If you want to learn piano, your options are to get a very uninspiring plastic keyboard that doesn't feel like a piano, or make the investment of a $5,000 grand piano and have it in your house and wake up your family with horrible noises because you don't know what you're doing yet. Or you could get a guitar. They're relatively affordable. You can justify it if you have a passing curiosity. And then you can quietly learn a couple of chords.
We can all agree it's just alluring.
So we wanted to see if the same was happening on the other side of the pond. So we reached out to our friend.
Hey, I'm Crispin from Regent Sounds.
On the famous Denmark Street in London.
It's the first major independent studio in London. People like Vera Lynn recorded here, and the Stones came here in '64. They actually first came here in '63.
And bands like Black Sabbath and the Kinks all recorded at Regent Sound.
Thanks for putting up with the rockstar delay, you know.
I kid you not. Before we even got
Yeah.
on, Randy and I were joking and said, he's going to say some emergency came up, some rock star called him. He's probably like, Crispin, I need my guitar now.
That's basically
right?
exactly what happened.
That's the business motto. Like, if a rock star needs it, you go. You just do
Always,
it, right?
yeah. No matter what, drop everything.
Do you see the same thing in the UK?
It does exist, but slightly less. And I think the reason for that is because it's an American industry, and it's very much an American. I suppose from the kind of iconoclastic perspective, you know, it's one of the classic American things.
The United States being largely the center of the electric guitar industry since the 1950s. I'm Matt Brownlee. I'm a musicologist. I have a PhD in music history and theory from Stony Brook University.
This guy did his PhD dissertation on the electric guitar. I mean, like, how cool is that?
No, Randy, I think he meant like on the electric guitar.
Oh, that's different.
Guitar as a historical instrument has a very long history, really has its roots in the late 19th centuries, primarily with acoustic guitars.
Guitars look like this, and they were meant to be in the parlor where a debutante would display her ability to read music. Hi, everybody. I'm Nate Westgore, otherwise known as Willie from Willie's American Guitars in St. Paul. So this is an old Martin from 1865.
I want you to meet your great-grandpa.
And the Martin Guitar Factory was a day's march away from Gettysburg. That was a 3-day war, and all these armies were coming up, and every night they stopped fighting, and it's in history that some guy played guitar and sang songs during the night in between battle. Then he put it down, picked up his rifle at sunrise. But nobody knows what uniform he wore. He was just there entertaining people quietly.
And then into the early 20th century, which is where we see the advent of electric guitars. The first sort of bona fide electric instrument was the Rickenbacker frying pan guitar.
Guitar has become such a big part of Americana, right? As apple pie and baseball.
To me, the whole thing is like such a uniquely American art form. And that comes back to the guitar. Hi, this is Andrew McCabe, former deputy and acting director of the FBI. I now work as an analyst on CNN. You know, the two legendary solid body guitars that revolutionized rock and roll were the Stratocaster and the Les Paul, made by, you know, dueling guitar greats, Leo Fender and Les Paul. Hendrix played a Strat, Stevie Ray Vaughan played a Strat. You know, I'm not even in the same galaxy as those people, but
if you say draw an electric guitar, someone's going to draw a Stratocaster. Hi, I'm Justin Norvell, Executive Vice President at Fender Musical Instruments. Yeah, so Fender started in 1946. Leo Fender was a radio repairman. Musicians started hanging out at his store. He started working on people's amplifiers. He was like, I can do some of this better. General design of the Strat has been the same since 1954. Always evolving, so it's like evolution, not revolution. You know, the electric guitar in that moment was timely, but it became timeless because it had this mid-century modern kind of design. Like in 1954, people said it looked like it came from space.
For 130 years, Gibson has been manufacturing
mandolins, banjos, acoustic guitars, acoustic archtop guitars, electric archtop guitars, electric semi-hollow body guitars, electric solid body guitars, Hawaiian lap steel guitars, console grand guitars, resophonic guitars, bass guitars, amplifiers, effects, all of these different categories.
And along comes the Les Paul, one of the most iconic shaped guitars ever invented.
And what are the odds that the Les Paul guitar was invented by a guy whose name was Les Paul?
Weird.
By the time we hit 1958, we kind of really settled in on what the specs are. It's two humbuckers, it's a sunburst finish, it's got a stop tail and tunematic. Over the years, as we've tried to modernize or do new innovations with the Les Paul, we face incredible backlash from the purists who just want the one that's $500,000. They can't afford that. Give me the closest thing to that. Everything we do has two collections. We have what we call an original collection and we have what's called a modern collection.
We see guitars burning at Monterey, right, with Jimi Hendrix, and guitars are an extremely important part of the urban folk revival with folks like Joan Baez and Bob Dylan, who are using it towards that kind of radical politic. Where does this sort of become mainstream?
All of the music that we aspired to and grew up with, from the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Kinks and everybody, it's all guitars, acoustic and electric guitars. It replaced the piano as the most popular musical instrument in the world, and there's a connection with all the music that we love.
It sort of symbolized energy, innovation, self-expression, desire, rebellion as well.
That can really all be captured conveniently in one image, because the guitars that were used through many of these periods remain largely unchanged in terms of a design.
Jazz of the 30s, counterculture of the 60s, country of the 90s. It's a convenient package. It's extremely good looking. It reminds people of all their, nostalgic connections with music.
When I think about the guitar in the 60s, 70s, and even the 90s when I picked it up, it was really connected to masculinity. Hi everyone, I'm Gavin Steingo, professor of music at Princeton University and guitar lover. You read interviews with Eric Clapton. From his youth, he talks about his anxieties, about not being masculine enough. So the guitar is this kind of phallic prosthesis.
And also it's kind of like an extension, of you.
It hangs kind of low between your legs. It's an extension of your sexuality. It's an extension of your personality. It's an extension of all the things you want to be. But now that you have this thing, it's your vehicle to do all those things that you dream of, that you can't when you're just being yourself,
But also it looks like a woman.
Oh, she's a beaut, and look at the curves on that instrument.
I'm 65. When I was a teenager, I didn't pick up the guitar because I'm not going to be Jimi Hendrix. I'm not going to be Bob Dylan. And now to see like Secretary Blinken playing the guitar.
Playing it well. Yeah.
Do you feel in all the years that it sort of turned from being this counterculture thing to being really just something we all did, like part of the establishment?
We've become the establishment. When my dad was a boy, having long hair or having hair past your collar was like, you were already a bad boy if you were doing that. But the Beatles threw that all out. And now the people that grew up with the Beatles are now probably close to retiring, if not retired already. So you think about that generational shift that's happened between what was considered okay and what wasn't. So many things that used to be taboo now, like playing rock and roll, having long hair, having earrings, having tattoos, being gay or queer or trans, or like all of those things have just become normalized.
I think that guitars became ubiquitous and, exceeded being counterculture. They're one of the few apolitical symbols, in my opinion. You can see them in 60s rock, that was very anti-establishment and anti-government, or a tool of protest. And you can also see them in the most patriotic art making and music making that exists.
We have examples, I think, of politicians, for instance, using instruments like the guitar.
I mean, maybe back in, the 70s or 80s, it would have just been like, what on earth?
And then Blinken, the other day he was playing the guitar in the Ukraine.
I think Tony Blair actually played guitar.
And when you're talking about world leaders, Justin Trudeau was watching my videos. So, the Prime Minister of Canada.
I am not a sort of, bourgeoisie, representative of a political class that goes to the opera and but is going to represent you. I'm someone who enjoys rock and roll. It can be a very powerful ideological centering for what you want to say.
Randall, where are you?
Sorry.
What's up, buddy?
Hey. Oh, wait.
What's going on?
Sorry. Hold on.
What are you doing?
I got to put my guitars out.
Your guitars are usually out?
No, are you kidding? These are Martins. They're in the cases at all times. They got humidifiers.
You take your guitars out of the case to do the Zooms. Every time you've spoken with me, not just like other people.
Yeah.
That's some serious dedication to the Zoom.
So this is the only car. Oh,
Jesus. All that protection.
No, not this one.
Oh,
So
okay,
this-
okay.
For the sake of the Zoom, I move it so it's
Oh,
there.
just casually laying on the couch.
Just as if I'm saying, sometimes I pick up my Martin, sometimes I pick up my Yamaha, whatever strikes the mood. So if you notice, now it just looks casual.
This is Dick Boak in Nazareth, Pennsylvania. I'm a guitar maker and dabble in a number of different arts.
He's being really modest. This is legendary guitar maker Dick Boak, who is with Martin Guitar for 42 years. Because I was going to introduce this guitar to you as if Pinocchio is meeting Geppetto.
Oh, yeah.
I'm explaining if it wasn't for that man over there, you'd be an end table in Pittsburgh.
There you go.
I mean, this guy's responsible for Eric Clapton's signature series.
Hey, I saw Eric Clapton on MTV Unplugged, and I'm wondering what he's playing. He was playing a 1939 0042, went up to Chris Martin and said, I'm getting a lot of requests. And would it be all right if I contacted Eric? And he said, as long as there's a charitable aspect, I got a call from Eric himself.
Eric Clapton?
Yeah, this time it really is.
And he said he'd love to do the project. And we established the Eric Clapton Charitable Trust for Children because of the tragedy that had happened with his son, Connor.
Aside from Clapton, he's responsible for 140 other signature guitar series.
Everybody was absolutely thrilled and honored to be contacted by Martin and to jump into such a honorable collaboration.
And just as impressive as his career was, how he got the job was just as cool.
I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe there was a guitar factory right in our area. I said, I'd like to take a tour. And afterwards, I said, do you have any scrap woods? They said, yeah, around the building. And the dumpster was filled. I kept coming back to the dumpster. The foreman at the back door, who was Pennsylvania Dutch, his name was Harvey Samuels. Finally, he said, well, what do you do with this stuff anyhow? I had some instruments in my car, and I handed them up, and he said, do you mind if I parade these around the shop once? And Mr. Martin looked at my instruments and he said, tell that kid to apply for a job. Could you start tomorrow? No, I can't, actually. I have to go to the Bob Dylan concert.
Well, as Bob Dylan once said, don't think twice. It's all right. I think the guitar can be what you want it to be. And I think that's the reason why it's so popular across different areas. Hey, how you doing? I am Justin from Justin Guitar. No matter what kind of personality you got, the guitar can be the perfect match for you. If you really like classical guitar, that you can play classical guitar on an instrument, and it can be very proper and organized, and you wear nice clothes, and it's a thing. But it can also be like rock and roll. So maybe you've got an office job, but on the weekends you want to be a bit more, you want to show off your tattoos and be a little bit more punk about the whole thing. So the guitar can be your rock and roll. It can be where you kind of let out your frustration. Or if you're a bit more thinky, you're into jazz and you want it to be a kind of an intellectual process where you're learning all of the scales and the fancy chords and harmonic changes.
Where you're just focusing on trying to play, have a sort of whole different, mindset, part relaxation, but part concentration, massaging a different part of your brain. Hey everyone, I'm Harry Littman. I'm a journalist and a senior legal columnist for the LA Times.
And former assistant attorney general. How do you leave that one out?
I still remember just learning like 2 or 3 easy chords, or a D chord, a D major chord. It was the first chord that I could kind of get my fingers on. And I just kind of like accidentally added my pinky, and it sounded like, no, like in the end of Stairway to Heaven. And if you're like, don't even know how to play guitar and you can play part of Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah. You're as good as Jimmy Page if you can play it one lick.
But you're hooked too, You're like, oh my gosh, like this isn't, I definitely remember going, oh wow, this isn't as hard as I thought it was.
No matter what the shape, the make, there's a certain motion towards, like there's a gravitational force towards the love of it.
I was obsessed from the moment I started playing. I got a Polaroid camera, and I remember taking a picture of my guitar with my dog and a picture of my guitar next to this door.
You're like, this guitar makes everything better.
I had all these like beauty shots of the guitar that I was just so in love with.
Some people are massively attached to the memories that the guitar represents.
I think oftentimes there's like a story, especially, you know, with the guitar of it being passed down from a family member, or, you know, it almost becomes like an heirloom.
Often people's most prized possession, or one of them. I mean, people have been buried with Fender guitar.
Was it a rare guitar? And do you know where the cemetery is?
It was this magical thing, and I don't know what I was thinking. I let it go, or I had this guitar and it got stolen out of the back of my car. That seems to be the ones that really stick with people, is that one that I had that I don't have anymore, and I can't believe it's not a part of me anymore.
We've had people find their grandfather's original D'Angelico in the back of a Cadillac trunk. People writing home from the war and being like, is my guitar still safe? All these really fascinating stories have come our way about people's just deep love for their instruments.
My father and I went down to D'Angelico's shop. At this point, I'm 14 or something. He said, you're not going to want to pay for one of my custom guitars. So he said, I go to all the guitar makers and I pick out guitars that I think have the right sound. He pulls out this Gretsch acoustic.
That doesn't surprise me that he would be all about the pursuit of tone.
Bought it in 1958.
At one point, John Gretsch actually offered D'Angelico a job, and he said, I'm flattered, but no thank you, I'm doing my little thing over here. Yeah, so D'Angelico is a historical guitar brand. It was established in 1932, founded on the Lower East Side of New York City by a master luthier named John D'Angelico. He built only from 1932 to 1964, and his instruments are considered some of the most coveted of all time because he only built just over 1,000 instruments. Traditional jazz arch tops for the who's who of those years. The company went dormant for a while. Nobody really saw much from the brand name, and then we had an opportunity to resurrect the brand name in 2011. And for the last, what's it been now, about 13 years or so, we have done our best to do a combination of reissues and also new designs, and kind of bring the D'Angelico name, which is this really, really special, iconic name in guitar making, to way more people. Our most notable partnership over the years is probably with Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead. He and I have had the chance to co-design 3 signature models now, which is just a truly fantastic endeavor, and has been really helpful for us growing our audience. And Bob is just an unbelievable person to work with.
And the Native Americans have a word, and I can't think of what it is right now, for people that pour their souls into an object, and the object retains some of that.
They have your sweat absorbed into them.
This thing lived a life. It was a tree, then it was a bridge, and then after it's a bridge, it becomes a guitar.
And people are very emotional about their guitar. They pour their guts out on it.
But they also are instruments that they talk back to you.
You could have all this voodoo speak of it was being vibrated by the train, and the wood learned how to vibrate, and as a guitar, it vibrates. It's a great guitar.
The first time I sat down with a Strat, the cutaway is just like, oh my God, it's so comfortable.
Although the majority of my business has been done online, there's nothing that replaces playing a guitar in person. Hi, I'm Tommy Coletti. I own the Music Zoo in Long Island, New York. As a retailer, you only really get a few seconds to sell a guitar. The guitar player will pick something off the rack and play one chord really quickly and either go yeah or no.
I said, could you give me that one on the wall? And as soon as I didn't even play the chords yet, I just run my hand down the neck and I went, yeah, I'll take this one.
I could take 5 of the same instrument that was made in a similar period of time that are all brand new and line them up for you, and each one is going to sound slightly different and feel slightly different.
I was scrolling through social media and I saw a video of Billy Joe Armstrong. He walked in, he was just looking like any other guy was looking for a guitar, found it, and within seconds was like, this is the one.
Yeah, love at first sight does happen and works out all the time for people. So when you see a guitar on the wall and go, oh, that's my guitar, Done. Just I know what it sounds like in my head. It's amazing. That's the one.
This is the one I'm buying. I love the sound of this. It's a mini.
And this is a quarter size guitar that I made, but this is rosewood back and sides with pearl inlay.
This is my Taylor 614 CE, the torrefied spruce top and hard rock maple back and sides, which is interesting because it's actually kind of built more like a big violin.
It's a 1994 Takamine with this beautiful split bridge, right? So it's got the Takamine split bridge, has an amazing preamp on it.
The Les Paul Standard 60s. I just got it.
Epiphone, red because of Back to the Future.
Well, I love this one the most, but I play this one. It's got a really rich, full sound, this Gibson.
I had to glue this, but that's still the original DeArmond pickup.
A Telecaster made out of old growth redwood from a Northern California railway trestle bridge, 400-year-old tree.
Randy, it's obvious. Anyone who plays guitar becomes obsessed. And you know the old saying, how many guitars do we really need?
Just one more.
Actually, a little nervous about saying how many I have.
Way too many. I'm currently in a lot of trouble for that. I have to start moving some out.
It was over 100 for a little while, and then I just was like, what am I doing with all this?
Oh, it's not obscene.
I actually don't know.
$20-ish guitars, which is, I've probably owned over 100.
I would say I own roughly 25, maybe 30.
30 something?
I'm probably in the neighborhood of 30 to 50.
Probably 50 or more.
The more guitars you have, the more of a man you are. Do you not know this?
And I have 7. Randy, how many do you have?
3.
The passion we have for guitars is what makes us crazy when we see it portrayed wrong in the media.
Very famously, there was a promo with Boris Johnson where he had the capo on the wrong side of where he was playing chords.
Oh, that's really funny.
Every guitarist in the country shared that.
The real crime from this episode of Law & Order is the guitar is face down against a playpen. And that's a stock photo because we couldn't afford copyright permission.
Horrifying. Let's get back to the show.
There was an acoustic guitar in the house that I'd been around my whole life. I had zero interest in that. I wanted to play rock and roll, distorted Eddie Van Halen electric guitar. But it just felt like I was 10 feet taller than I was. I was this little kid and I put it on and I felt like I had arrived. 34 years later or whatever has not left.
I do remember it feeling like a lightning bolt coming down through my entire body.
Yeah, the clouds parted and this ray of light came in.
The first time that I was able to make the guitar sound somewhat like the song. Hey, I'm Charlie Wallace. I play guitar in a band called Black Smoke Trigger and teach a lot of people online through Guitar Mastery Method.
I still get such a boost out of figuring out a song and then hearing myself play some reasonable facsimile of a song that I love. I still can't believe it. I'm like, oh my God, I can play this Nirvana song or that Green Day song. It's like an endorphin rush.
It doesn't matter what size of stage anybody wants to be on. They want to either feel the feeling of that connection and of a performance to somebody or something, or just feel the feeling of what that would feel like, even if it's just sitting at home jamming with some backing tracks. There's still a connection being made.
Literally, your fingers are making that.
The way you can make certain notes, sing, or the way you attack it, playing softer to louder, you can dig in, the way you can express your emotions through it.
To be actually able to bend, manipulate that note, to be able to turn on effects and completely change the sound of what it's doing.
How your vibrato is, all of the things that you do while you're playing that create, you sound like you.
And you play that and you feel...
Like rainbows shooting out of your chest. Did you ever get to this position?
Yeah. Right, really.
think guitar in particular is the most expressive instrument we have.
It's the first thing I think about when I wake up. It's the last thing I think about as I'm falling asleep, staring at my guitars that I keep in the bedroom guitars.
When you're going to bed, you go, I love you. And your wife goes, I love you too. You go, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking.
No, not you. The Les Paul over there.
And one of the greatest things that folk music gave to us is if you learn 3 chords, you now know 2,000 songs.
It's the only real talent that you can immediately be like, look what I got.
There is something very communicative about that for you and your head.
I suck, but it doesn't matter that those sort of half an hour sessions where you're just focusing on trying to play.
This one is my Martin acoustic.
Look at them talking about guitars. Relaxed, animated, excited, compared to how they look professionally on television.
Well, it's like what Ryan said.
When you want to talk about what I actually want to talk about, we can do that.
It's a little it's a little under the weather. I broke a string. So.
Is that the 00015?
Yes, we have the same guitar.
We're related. I'm related to Andy McCabe now.
You are.
Guess who we spoke to yesterday?
Who?
Dick Boak.
No way.
Yeah.
It's been kind of a life goal to drive up to the Martin factory and just take a tour.
We found Jimmy Page's guitar. In '61, Jimmy Page bought a black Les Paul Custom, and he did session work forever. He did like the James Bond theme song. He did the song Downtown, Jimmy Page. He did the Who's first record, Donovan's first record. He was a huge session guy with his black Les Paul. He loved it. He never wanted to lose it, but he had to take it on tour. Here in Minnesota, in April of 1970, Zeppelin played a 13-song set and ended with Whole Lotta Love. He set down the guitar and never saw it again until I gave it back to him in 2015.
How did you find it?
Right. Convenient. The guy who gave it back to him. No.
Well, I was 11 years old and living in Chicago in '93. A guy walked in and said, I have Jimmy Page's guitar. And I said, well, and he goes, how do you know? Well, Jimmy took out an ad in Rolling Stone magazine every month of the 70s, 71, 2, 3. Every month it was, I lost my guitar. Here's the serial number. That guitar comes in. The serial number's there. We called Jimmy Page's people, and he had drilled 2 holes, which are now covered up. Then they said, nope, not ours. All right, but it has a serial number. Nope, not ours. Okay. I sold it to an employee. 23 years later, I was fixing it for him. He had busted the headstock. And I saw that the wood had sunken in. I ran a blacklight low over it. I had people offer me up to $500,000 if I found it in town. And a couple of them were very insistent. As soon as I saw those holes, I found Jimmy Page's guitar. And it was all about the pearl in the block marker. The swirl of the pearl told us, because there was no wood grain because it was black. And so I knew it was Jimmy's guitar. I gave it back to him in 2015. Just a couple of years ago, I kind of heard more about the story as it surfaced. And 2 guys were hired. And they said, hey, you guys, come here. Help us get all this stuff off stage. And the one guy just picked up his guitar and left. And so that's the short version of the story. But it is a really good come home to Papa stolen guitar thing. And especially for as emotional, we've been talking about this, as emotional as these things are, it was a big deal.
It uses different pieces of the brain. You have your left hand doing a different thing than your right hand. I think there's a meditative quality to playing music.
There's always that thing when I put on a guitar, it's like I am finally the person I want to be. I don't know if it's a security blanket or if it's armor, but I just feel like untouchable when I have it on, and I feel incredibly vulnerable when I don't.
We live in an increasingly complicated world, and music is one of the few things that everybody can rely on as a source of respite.
So I can just kind of get lost in it. And I think if you studied brain chemistry or brain activity, I think it's, just very similar to people that meditate. That's my meditation.
As a matter of fact, Marty, we did speak to someone who studies the brain.
When people dance or actually play, not listen to, but play music, it activates a key part of their default mode network and makes them more open to new ideas.
That's the most scientific explanation of just, it makes me feel great.
Yeah, right. I'm Richard Boyatzis. I'm a professor at Case Western Reserve University. I'm a scientist. I'm a psychologist, because I'd worked as an aerospace scientist to get enough money to finish MIT, because I was specializing in control systems of interplanetary vehicles.
I feel like the biggest moron talking to you.
I'm still trying to remember how to play a C major 7th.
Okay, good. So it doesn't matter how smart you are, all our brains work the same when it comes to the guitar.
Emotional intelligence is the ability, a set of abilities to manage your emotions. Those of us who are drawn to this instrument and stay with it over the years end up feeling like we can express our emotions more succinctly through the instrument and playing it than we can through words.
I was reading a lot about intentional change theory. You're also applying it to your own learning of the guitar. And so are people like us who are obsessed, and are we doing exactly that without recognizing that that's what we're doing?
The theory of change is based on all this research for individuals all the way up to country level change. And the whole idea is this is how people successfully engage in sustained desired change. And I have to say sustained because there are millions of people who pick up a guitar, take a few months of lessons, and that's it. So for those of us who continue, end up doing it not because they have a goal, but because they have a dream. When you ask people about their dream, their deep sense of purpose, you actually activate a network in the brain that enables you to be open to new ideas, which also is very energizing. It links to what's called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the only antidote to stress. So what happens is every time you try to change, it is stressful, and you don't keep at it unless you intersperse these moments of what I call renewal.
My dream is to be able to play Hotel California solo without...
And whoever ends up watching you that day, so be it. Doesn't matter.
And if nobody's there, it's still my dream to just do it.
Right. And Randy, that answers your question, going back to why do so many people continue to do it when they're not that good at it yet?
We do this because we think music making matters, not because we think virtuosity matters, not because we think mastery is the end goal, but because music making is a really important and sacred thing for humans.
Have you seen a shift in who is coming in to purchase guitars?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly has shifted a lot. There's no doubt, and I think for the better in the long run.
Right, and age-wise,
we have everybody from, literally 5-year-olds to 90-year-olds. The mainstay would be people, I'd say, between sort of 20 and 70. Yeah,
20 and 70, just a small little gap.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
I mean, I started in my late 50s, and I've met people that are older than me when they started.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's like everybody has this preconceived idea that it's this mountain that you can't climb, and it's ridiculous. I mean, there was a guy came to me in his 70s and in retirement, And he was just lonely and bored, and he picked it up and he loved it. And he said it was the best kind of 20 years of his life. He lived to a ripe old age and he just loved it.
When I've taught music, it's always been to a pretty wide demographic. So young kids into the latest music and older people coming wanting to learn Chuck Berry and Rolling Stones and Beatles or whatever.
And because Keith Richards and Paul McCartney and all of them are out there doing it in their 80s, that why would anybody else stop?
The younger generation of people is getting younger. People who pick up the guitar are starting younger, and they have a much more streamlined and comfortable path to entry. There's not a lot of barriers like there used to be for people who didn't have the internet.
When I was growing up, you go to your lesson for a half an hour. You come home, you forget everything because you don't play for the next 2 days. You forget everything you learned, and you got to wait another 5 days until it's time to go back to your lesson. All that stuff's online now. There's tutorials, and Marty Schwartz can teach them how to play.
I've been doing YouTube and video guitar lessons for 16 years now.
You want to talk about somebody who inspires people to pick up and play. Marty Schwartz will go down in my book as one of the most important guitar figures of all time.
Sometimes it's off-putting because someone that's like a fully grown adult will come up to me and say they've been watching me since they were a little kid. So that's weird. But it's obviously it's amazing. It's flattering.
I think when I first started going to guitar shops and when I started running this shop, it was very male dominated. You'd never see a girl in the shop in the early days. You just wouldn't. It would be like twice a year and everyone would just be like, oh my God, there's a girl in this shop. It was like a complete rarity. Whereas now, not only do we have female employees, we have, I would say, probably about 40% of our footfall is female now, maybe 35%, which is great.
And the manufacturers, Gibson, Fender, Martin, feed back to us that it's a huge concern of theirs too. It's 50% of the population. We're friends with Bonnie Raitt. Sheryl Crow's another regular customer, and she's a brilliant musician. I think we're starting to see that really unfold.
So I think there's been quite a shift in this sense of the guitar's representation as a masculine symbol of masculinity.
What has been really cool is to see more and more women come into our community. Whether it's Jennifer Batten, Arianthe, Nita Strauss.
From Bonnie Raitt to Chrissy Hines. Now you've got her. And so she's closed the Olympics and played at the Super Bowl.
Kicking butt in what is generally a male-dominated industry.
Just eliminated the kind of older, man with a foot up on the monitor and a fan blowing in his hair.
Back when I started, or at least in my early teens, when I started buying guitar magazines, it was every guitar was advertised with breasts. There was always a scantily clad girl holding an instrument, and that was what sold it. That sort of stuff seems to have completely disappeared. There are a lot more women making great music and playing seriously. And I think that's encouraged a broadening of the demographic of people who play.
I went out of my way with Judy Collins and Joan Baez and Linda Ronstadt, and any opportunity that I had to identify a female player and honor them.
It's amazing. You cannot downplay the impact that she's had on young girls and women over the last 10 to 15 years, maybe even 20, picking up guitars. I remember when she was 14 and she came through our factory when she was just getting started. So and then just to see her career where it is now. Hi, my name is Lindsay Love. I'm the artist relations manager at Taylor Guitars. The company started back in 1974. Two guys, Bob Taylor and Kurt Listig, his partner. They loved music. They loved woodworking. They loved guitars. And so all of that passion, that alongside their commitment to creativity and innovation, here we are 50 years later, celebrating our company, celebrating them as founders and builders, and now our CEO and president celebrating Andy and what he's contributed to the company and the guitar industry. That particular guitar, the model, the baby Taylor itself, it's a fun guitar from people that play at all different levels. From beginners, it's a great guitar to learn on. It's a fun guitar to learn on.
That's so cool. You're going to have to send us one of those.
Got you.
Sure. 17-year-old here named Grace Bowers. She learned literally, you know, during the pandemic, was watching my videos, learned from me, learned the pentatonic scale from me.
We did a women's only rock camp with Melissa Etheridge and Nancy Wilson and Oriente. It was amazing. It was amazing. 80 women came to camp and they played guitar and bass and drums, and it was probably one of my best camps because the Sisterhood, they never left. They all were there to support each other. Hi, I'm David Fishoff, the owner of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp.
Yeah, this isn't just any camp. This is a camp where normal guitar players like you and I get to hang out and learn from famous rock stars. Then there's a performance where the band you formed at the camp plays on stage, and you get to be a rock star for a night.
For me, that, you know, spending all those years on the road with Ringo and the Monkees, and I needed to get off the road.
I love the way he just threw out those names. He's the guy that first brought the Monkees out of hibernation and then convinced Ringo Starr to tour and produced his all-star tour.
It inspires them to start playing again, because my customer is someone who was in a band in high school and college, and the wife is the one who usually buys it. She sees, oh, you know what? My husband loves this thing. He plays in plays in the house. He once in a while picks it up. I'm going to send him to a Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. Did you see the movie?
I was blown away by the movie specifically because at its core, it's exactly what we're saying. And I think Paul Stanley summed it up best when he said, it's not about how good you are, it's how much you enjoy playing.
It's only about one thing. It's about changing people's lives through the power of music.
I think one of the, somebody in the film said something about, you know, if you pick up a guitar, you'll always make friends wherever you go.
When I walked into this company, 5.5 years ago and got tasked with designing what would become the Gibson Garage, being able to create these intimate experiences for fans to come in, be surrounded by all of the cool, and then be able to see one of their favorite artists with 100 other people in this private, cool setup was another part of it. So it's part storytelling, part museum, part history, part live venue, part retail.
I was in the airport and I see a guy with Norman's Rare guitar shirt. And of course, I ran over to him and I have to talk. Next thing you know, we're best friends and we're talking for hours. And then I heard the English accent. And I went, oh, it's so funny because, you know, we're going to be speaking to somebody at Regent Center. It's like, Crispin, you know, if somebody plays golf and sees somebody with a Titleist shirt, nobody goes, hey, I love your balls.
You see someone and immediately you have something in common. A guy came literally out of nowhere and he said to me, oh, I gotta have that shirt. Where can I buy that shirt? I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if you can go online and just buy like all the t-shirts? My name is Eric Feldman. I am the owner of Guitar Shop Tees, a subscription service where every month subscribers get a limited edition t-shirt from a highly regarded guitar shop from anywhere in the world.
The shirts and the hats, specific guitar nerd niches, right. We all come crawling out of the woodwork.
Have you experienced that kind of thing, this immediate bond?
I'm always carrying a guitar or a ukulele through the airport, and yeah, you'll get guys all the time that'll strike up a conversation.
When I meet people and I tell them that, you know, I work at Taylor, if they have a Taylor, they'll tell me their Taylor story about how they got it, whether it was passed down, whether they saved up and bought it, and how much it means to them, how many songs they wrote on it, or whatever that case is. And if they don't have a Taylor, they'll just tell me, oh, I have a guitar I've been wanting to learn for years. I think it's specifically that instrument. People, you know, will dive into like a really heartfelt story about what the guitar means to them.
Working in music retail, the stories I hear the most are the ones that got away. Every guy that I would talk to is like, oh my God, when I was in college, I had one of these and I sold it for beer money and I cannot, you know, I'll never have it again.
There is an immediate connection between people. And part of our industry, a part of the community we build is that jam community where you can bring your instrument and play with other people. My name is Lillian Werbin. I'm CEO and co-owner of Elderly Instruments in Lansing, Michigan. We buy, sell, trade, and consign and repair new, used, vintage, fretted instruments.
It just draws you in and you feel like other people who share that interest, or they may be much better players than you or newer or whatever, there's still something that kind of connects us on that level. And these days, like things that connect us, otherwise strangers, are rare and should be cherished.
I like to find places, even in this horrendously politically divided nation that we sit in now, where we can bond.
People create connections that just would never happen if they didn't play the guitar. Music doesn't care how old you are, or what country you're from, or what race you are, or what religion you are. It's like, if you play guitar, you're part of the club.
Do you get emails occasionally like, what kind of guitar is that? Or, forget what you said about the world ending.
Yeah, I do a lot of that. I do. I've gotten a couple of emails from people who are guitar players, and they're very curious about like what kind of guitar it is. Usually the Martin was there for a long time, so I got questions about the Martin, and I would answer them and let them know, and then they would, sometimes that would involve, lead to an exchange of kind of guitar dude chat. You know what I mean? Like you guys know what it's all about.
Just between us, who's the best player? To you, Harry Lippman, George Conway, Dr. Phillips?
I don't know. I feel like it would be a great, down at the crossroads sort of playoff between Harry and George.
And just in case anyone doesn't know about the Crossroads, this is the story of Robert Johnson. Back in the 1930s, he sucked at guitar, goes down to the Crossroads, supposedly makes a deal with the devil, comes back, the greatest guitar legend that ever lived.
Hey, Jared, the prehistoric cave drawings found in France about 25,000 years BC?
Yeah.
They got it wrong. Those hands?
Oh my God. A rock concert.
Absolutely. Those are the fans. And the first pun. Do you think there are any historical events that would have gone differently if the participants actually played guitar?
All right, give me a second. John Wilkes Booth.
Because I'm a Wallace. The idea of Braveheart holding a sword, what if he was holding a guitar?
I think if the Tsar of Russia and Lenin had played guitar, I don't think the Russian Revolution would have ever happened, right? I think there would have been a bonding situation there that would have changed.
Would have been a different revolution,
Exactly.
Brian May comes out, starts rocking the national anthem on guitar, and then up behind him, out comes King Charles playing the harmony guitar part. That would be something watched the world over.
You know who Brian May is, don't you?
Yeah, astrophysicist.
Presidential debates being decided with guitar skills, I feel like that could be really helpful to me as a voter.
But the answer's right there in front of all our eyes. Another documentary called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Oh, wait, it's not a documentary. They changed. It might as well have been a documentary. No, their band changed the world and created world peace.
Excellent. Well, Randy, was it everything you thought? Did we get to the bottom of it?
I don't think it matters anymore. The coolest thing about the guitar is just playing it for yourself.
Yeah, but given the chance, you wouldn't sell your soul to the devil? You still want to do this, huh?
Hell yeah.
Sure is hot today.
Where we're going, Randy, we better get used to it.
Yoo-hoo, Mr. Devil! Sold to sell here. No one's answering. 2-for-1 deal.
Are we done with this documentary?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm good. I'm coming on.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm on my way.
Bye.
All right. Gotta go pick up the kids. Gotta go to the supermarket. Not to realize.
Jared, Randy, come back. Hello? Is this working? I tell you, this is not like it used to be. I used to show up, there was a goat, there were Vestal virgins, but now, come on. Am I losing my touch? Honestly, can we just go back to actually appearing in a puff of smoke at the Crossroads? Back in the days, there'd be goats, there'd be fire. Now I'm on a Zoom call. Those guys were onto something. Amy, get me the guitar. Nah, Flying V. I'm going hardcore on this one.